The ability to speak with confidence and present for impact is easily the most valuable skill you can have in today's world. When you can share your knowledge, you can facilitate change, and when you can facilitate change, well, you can change the world one conversation at a time. But most people think they can't speak articulately, confidently, or with impact. They get choked up by nerves, they lose their words, or that dreaded imposter syndrome shuts them down. Well, I'm happy to say that speaking is a skill that anyone can learn, yes, even you. And that's exactly what this podcast is all about. My name is Kat Matson, and welcome to Speaking with Confidence. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence with Kat Matson. Yes, I am Kat, and it is lovely to have you here. How are you? How is your day going? Whatever you're doing as you're listening, whether you're at the gym, out for a walk, in the car, maybe you're multitasking, maybe you're cooking dinner. How are you? How's your world? What's happening? And what's making you smile? What is making you smile? I would love it if you let me know. Probably the best way to do that at the moment is to take a photo of this podcast or take a photo of what you're doing right now and tag me on Instagram at Kat Matson. That's Kat with a C. Just tag me at Kat Matson and let me know what you're up to as you're listening to this podcast. So today we are talking with Melanie Campbell about authentic storytelling and in particular authentic copywriting. Now, I know that might sound a little bit odd. Why would we be talking about copywriting in a podcast about speaking? Well, because copywriting is another form of voice. It's another form of getting your story out there. And the more and more and more I do this work, the more I realize this authentic piece is so important. And one of the things that I talk with Melanie about in this interview is the importance of authentically articulating your story in your copy, your written copy, so you can connect with your ideal people. And so your people, whoever your people are, feel you. They get the essence of you and they don't feel like they're reading some AI-generated text. Before we dive into that episode though, I'd love it if you could leave us a review. Now, I do say this a little bit now because I really want more and more people contributing to the conversations that matter. And one of the reasons why people don't contribute to the conversations that matter is because they believe they can't do it. They can't speak with confidence. They can't articulate themselves, or they need to have something else, something else in their professional toolkit to speak up. And that's one of the reasons why I do the work that I do through Impactful Presenters. And this particular podcast is empowering people to speak up, to be heard, and to contribute to the conversations that matter. So wherever you're listening to this, please leave a review, subscribe, or as I said, share it on your socials. Tag me on Instagram or share to your socials and recommend it to other people. It helps the algorithm surface it to other people who are looking to boost their speaking confidence. And by doing that, we get more diverse voices contributing to the conversations that matter. So with that said, let's dive into this particularly gorgeous conversation with the ever delightful Melanie Campbell. Melanie is one of my Impactful Presenters alumni, and watching her bring together all of the diverse elements of her expertise, her passions into one package has just been delightful. So enjoy this conversation with the beautiful Melanie Campbell. Melanie Campbell, welcome to the Speaking with Confidence podcast. I am so excited to have you here.
Thanks, Kat. I'm so excited to be here too. I'm really looking forward to this.
And I think the reason why we're both looking forward to it is because we don't quite know where it's going to go, right? Like,
Yep.
I feel like it could go off in all sorts of different directions. Now, I've just introduced you, but I always think it's much better to hear directly from the person's mouth. Who are you? Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Okay, so my name's Melanie, obviously. I'm a holistic women's business guide for women 40 plus, and I help women to grow their soul aligned business by shining their unique light and working in flow with their energy. And I do that through, I'm an alchemist. That's what I call myself. So I weave together intuition, insight, and logic, along with over 23 years of combined qualifications and experience in all sorts of areas, from business to copywriting to content marketing to holistic therapies and website development. And I just bring all of that together to give that personal guidance, because I just believe that anything's possible when you are aligned with who you are.
Anything and everything is
Yeah.
possible when you're aligned to who
Yeah.
you are. And I just love that. I love hearing you say that, Melanie, because it sounds so you. Like it's just,
Yeah.
yep, that's Melanie. And that's what Melanie does. Now, one of the things that I want to talk with you about today is copywriting, and in particular, authentic copywriting, because that's one of your talents, it's one of your
Yes.
skills, one of those qualifications. But before I do that, I want to pick out this piece that you just mentioned in terms of being a guide.
Yes.
I've observed you now help people discover their own superpowers, discover their unique gift to the world. Why is it so important that we do that? And why is it so hard for us to do? Why? 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 She says, why?
Well, I think a big part of it, and I can speak from my own experience too, it's often hard to see it in ourselves. So we can see it for other people, but we can't always see it in ourselves. And because I think too, for me, because I can, when I meet people, I can see that so clearly. And that's what drives me, because I can see those gifts, those superpowers, that unique potential that someone has. And when it's not being shown to the world, it just won't go away. It keeps driving me to say, I need to help them get it out there.
I love that. I need to help them get it out there.
Yeah.
What when you're helping people find their superpowers, is there a resistance? Is there a disbelief? Is there that's not that special? Like what and I'm assuming that there's blocks, because I know there's always been blocks
Yeah.
for me as I've tried to find mine.
Yeah.
Are there blocks, and what are
Yes.
they?
Yes, there's definitely blocks. So a lot of it is not recognizing that in yourself, but also what you were saying as well about not realizing that that's something special. So a lot of the women that I work with, I was actually talking to someone about this very thing yesterday and going through all of the things that she does. And I was just saying, you are just so amazing. And then I'd say, but don't you have this as well and that? And you've been doing that for a really long time. And she goes, yeah. I said, well, not everybody does that. That's something really special. She's like, oh, yeah, I suppose I do have. Enough things, but yeah, it's not recognizing it. So that's why I really like to. Part of it is asking intuitive questions, so that will sort of help to uncover these gifts that people have. And I do use human design as well to help with that. That can be handy when there are those blocks of people not being able to see what's there, because then it's I suppose it can be good, because I can say, well, this is in your chart, and then that can be a way of getting past that idea of, oh no, I don't really have anything that's that special, or oh, but that's really easy for me to do that, so it can't be that good. It has to be something difficult. I think there's this misconception that for it to be special, it has to be difficult.
Uh-huh. I'm not familiar with that story at all, Melanie. Tell us about human design. I've touched on this a couple of times now in the podcast, but I know that not everybody listens to the podcasts in
Yeah.
order. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about human design.
So I feel like human design, it's like a it's like a way of guiding you, and I like to call it an awareness tool, because it just brings awareness to how your energy works and what your gifts might be, but it's not a prescriptive thing. And some of the languaging around it, anyway, when you first look at it, can be hard to understand. So a lot of it is open to interpretation. But what I like about it and what it helped me with is when I discovered that I was a projector. And that means that my energy works differently. I'm not meant to do the 9 to 5 day, 5 days a week. And that just gave me permission to go, oh, that's why that doesn't work for me. It's not because I'm doing something wrong. I don't need to find a way to increase my energy and try and be more productive. And since knowing that, it's meant that I can start to work with my own energy in a different way and work in more focused blocks of time, and now actually get more done.
Yeah, right.
And that's something that I love to talk to other women that I'm working with as well, because it can just be a really good way to see, oh, okay, this is how your energy works. And then we look at all the unique components in that, because it's not a one size fits all. Even if you're the same energy type as someone else, you're still completely different and unique. That's what I enjoy about it as well.
It's funny hearing you say that, actually, because I'm a manifesting generator in human design, and one of the things about a manifesting generator and about my energy is that I can juggle, and in fact I love juggling.
Yeah.
Many things, and I can push really hard, and I can move mountains when I'm in flow. And other people will look at me and go, oh my goodness, how do you get all of that stuff done?
Yeah.
Whereas I will tell myself that I haven't got enough stuff done, and I have to really go, oh no, you did fair bit. But then I will need to stop, and I will need to stop 100%.
Yeah.
And in the past, I used to see that as burnout. And it's actually not. It's literally my energy flow is go, 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 go. It's almost like a sprint, like sprint and sprint hard, and then rest.
Yes.
Rest. And that's how I work.
Yeah.
Still getting used to that. Still getting used to accepting that the stop part is important, because I always want to do more stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So You kind of hinted that you've been on this discovery journey as well, like discovering human design and discovering your own superpowers. And that helps you then help others. Tell us about that journey for you. How have you got to this point of incorporating all of the parts of you to come into this one gorgeous package called I'm Melanie and I help? I'm a business guide, a holistic business guide.
Okay, so like most stories, it's not linear, which is something that you actually helped me realize that was okay, because I always used to feel bad about that I hadn't left school and gone and studied one thing and then I just followed that path. And I used to think that there was something wrong with me because I was always searching, trying to find my thing and trying to find this. It was like this constant search for purpose, which actually is in my chart now. Having an open G center, that's part of the thing, like this constant search for purpose. And I think that's where that really helped, is realizing that purpose is not just one thing. It's actually the intention that you bring to everything that you do. And that enabled me then to look back at all the things that I've done, because before I think I'd ended up in things where there was sort of a need. So I sort of went where I felt needed. So probably the first main business I had was in web design. But I didn't decide I want to be a web designer, I'm going to create this business. It was what I like to call it the accidental business, because my husband was a full-time artist at the time and I needed to create a website for him. So I I did that. I worked with a developer and we created this website. And then other artists started seeing that and saying, oh, that's really good. I like that. Can you do one for me? So, yeah, okay. So I did that. And then it just, it just built on from there. And then that sort of became my thing. But it was never, part of it I liked, but it was never sort of my, one lane. And then meanwhile, I've always been into holistic therapies and natural health and toxin-free beauty and skincare, and I make a lot of my own products and healing potions, and there's Reiki and all sorts of things. So that was always going on the side as well. So I had these two sort of what seemed like completely different things.
What seemed like is the key phrase there.
Yeah.
What seemed like.
Yeah. And then the writing, that's probably a good example of when you think that something's not that special. Because writing is something I've always done, and I actually that is what I went and studied after school. But then I went on and did other things. But when I looked back, I realised that is something that has been woven into everything that I've done. So even in jobs that I've worked in, I was always the one that they would come to edit things for them. So whether that was a letter or documents or anything like that, I would do. And then when my husband was a full-time artist, I would be writing all of the promotional things for his website, for his flyers, for his art exhibitions, just all of that. And then with the websites, I would be doing all of the writing for whoever I was doing the website for, and working with them to create the right sort of bio. So it was just woven through all of the things, but it was just something that seemed to come fairly easily to me. So I never thought anything of it.
It just seemed to come really easily to me, so I never thought anything of it.
Yeah.
Like, if that is the standout line of discovering your superpower, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I love that. And so, I mean, I've watched you over the last few months, maybe it's even a year, really pull together all of these disparate parts, well, what you thought were disparate parts.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through what started to click? Like, what shifted from these are all disparate random parts that don't belong together to, oh, this is the package, this is the gorgeousness, this is the whole deal?
Well, part of it actually that started me thinking about it was doing your program.
Funny that.
And that sort of gave me permission to go, it's okay that I haven't had this linear path. That's actually normal. A lot of people don't have a linear path, and I can actually bring all of these things together. I think you said something about that you could see power in an all-in-one approach. So that kind of sparked this idea, and it got me then to sit down and actually write down all of the things, because I forget all of the things that I've done. So even the things that I've mentioned, that's only just some of it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And because I'm a 1-3 in human design, the 1 is the investigator. So when I do something, even though I have lots of things, when I do it, I go really deep into it. I need to achieve expert level knowledge as much as I can in it. It's not just a flippant thing of, oh, let's try this and then move on. I need to completely absorb it. So that's what I did. I wrote out all of these things and just thought, oh, actually, I'm starting to see how they're connected, because part of it was, and another thing that I was doing when I was doing one-to-one yoga teaching and working with clients, it was never just about the yoga. We'd work through, well, what else was going on for them? why did they have a sore back? What else was happening in their life? And so we would do that. So I'd always be tying in all these other things. Otherwise, if I didn't, I always felt like part of me was missing. And I think that's when I had that realization that I needed to bring all of these things together, because they are all of the parts of expressing who I am. And if I don't do that, then there's always going to be something missing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's that missing, and it's that feeling of missingness that is, I don't know how to describe that. And for those who are listening, rather than watching, I'm currently making these gestures with my hands to kind of go like I'm playing with my fingers going, where is it? And it's like this piece of feeling like there is a missing piece. It's not a limb. It's not like you've lost a piece.
Yeah.
It's just like there's something incomplete. There's something not quite here. I love that you've found that, Melanie.
Yeah.
I love that. And I mean, of course, I love that it was a question or a reflection that I gave you that had you go, ooh, let's go down this path.
Yeah.
And I also, what I can also hear too is that it's an ongoing integration process. Like even you just mentioning the one-on-one yoga, it's like, oh yeah, there's another piece. There's another piece. There's another piece. Here's another piece. So looping back then, listeners, I hope you've understood now why I wanted to have this conversation first before I come now back up to the authentic copywriting, because copywriting is another voice. It's another way of speaking. And in fact, for a lot of us in the online world, it is our first way of speaking. It's our first way of connecting with our audience before we get to have a verbal conversation with them. And so speaking in written word is really, really important. And as ChatGPT freaking takes over the world and everybody's saying, oh, here's another set of AI prompts for you to write your copy, I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. So before you, can you explain to us why authentic copywriting is so, so important in today's landscape, and how do you go about getting it out of your clients? Like, because it's a process. It's a little bit of alchemical magic.
Yeah, and it's what I love doing. So
for those who are listening, you should have just seen Melanie's face.
And part of it comes back to my beliefs around copywriting, because obviously when I studied copywriting, it was all about, well, here are the power words. You have to make sure you use these power words, and you have to use all of these statements. And I just thought that feels really yucky to me. I just wouldn't speak like that to someone, and it just doesn't sound like me either. So I wasn't comfortable doing that for myself, and I experimented with a lot of that to start with in my own business and on my own website. And because I can just change my website when it suits me, because I have that skill as well, and then I could just change it whenever I felt like it. So I would just experiment. And I just was finding that when I was using those sort of words, it just didn't feel authentic to me. It didn't feel right. And then it just sounded like everybody else. And that's what I realized too. When you're just using all of those sort of words, then everyone sort of blends into this sea of sameness. But when I was talking to the women that I work with and actually starting to ask them questions around what they do and who it's for, and just digging a little bit further into that, the things that they were saying when they were speaking, I was going, oh, that's so good. So what I do when I talk to people, I just start writing all of these things down. I'll just pick out these really good words, and then I would feed that back to them, and they'd go, oh, wow, oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's exactly what I want to say. And then I'd say, well, that's actually what you just said. These are your words. Oh, really? Because I think we make it hard for ourselves when
Oh,
we sit down to write. We think that we have to do it in a particular way. There's all those shoulds out there of, oh, you have to use these sort of wording, and this is how you have to speak to your ideal people to attract them. And we can just get stuck there when we're sitting there trying to write it. But when someone actually asks you a question and it's a conversation, it just comes out naturally.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yep. So from your experience then of experimenting with, the power copy words versus your authentic copy, what difference does that have in your website copy or in your social media posts? Like what is I'm guessing that there's a measurable difference. There's or an observable difference.
Yeah, I think the main thing with that is that it actually sounds like you. So then it does create that connection. So even with social media, I hardly ever post on Instagram, but what I do is I connect with people on there. So I'll just have little chats with people back and forth. And that's what I've done ever since I joined Instagram. I have some things on there, but it's mainly about having conversations with people. But it's just about being real, because I feel like otherwise, if you're putting something out there that's not how you would speak, when they actually meet you and talk to you, then they're thinking, oh, but that's a different person.
Yep. And there's also, and I want to go back to what you just said there around it when you're speaking, typing, captioning, whatever,
Yeah.
in a social media post or online, when it's your authentic copy, then there's connection
Yes.
as distinct to just noise,
Yeah.
just and more people sounding the same.
Yeah.
So why is it so hard to do? Why do we find it hard? Is it because we've been told that we need to use all the power copy words? Is it even if we haven't studied copywriting, we think we have to sound like what ChatGPT gives us back?
I think that is definitely part of it, because I know that's something that I struggled with to start with, because there's so many people out there and all these marketing experts and everything saying, and all these business experts saying, oh, you just need to use this, and oh, I've got this template that you can use, and if you use these words, then you'll attract all the right people. So it can be hard at first to go, no, I'm not doing it that way. I'm going to do it my way, because that's the unknown path. It can feel a little bit scary at first to say, I'm just going to do this and see what happens. I think that's one of the things that can feel hard. And then there was actually someone I was talking to, and she was saying that she struggled with that because she feels like because she works in the marketing area, if she starts going down another path, then her peers will start thinking that she doesn't know what she's doing. So yeah,
Isn't
part of
that
that giving
interesting?
herself permission to go, well, I do know what I'm doing, and this is what I choose.
Yeah. And I do think it's interesting. I've just, at time of recording, I've just spent 2 days at a digital conference, and AI was the hot topic. And I think one of the things that we're currently, well, actually it was AI and inclusivity and the algorithms. They were the hot topics. And it occurred to me that one of the things that has happened for us as humans over the last 10 years is, as we're consuming more and more information, we have stopped discerning between kind of strategic outlines and formulaic how you do it. And so we now just say, okay, give me the recipe, give me the formula, give me the power words, give me the structure, and I'll just spit it back out. And so we've just got this mass sameness,
Yeah.
as distinct to coming back to us using what we understand about the strategy, knowing what we understand about being seen, about building awareness, all that kind of jazz. So yeah, I can imagine that for somebody who's in the marketing space, that fear of the peer rejection.
Yeah.
would be really strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before I ask you then your speaking tip, what's your tip to your clients, to women who are wanting to be more authentic, be more themselves, be more aligned and be more in flow when they're fearing that peer rejection? How do you coach them through that? How do you help them move through that?
It's more about finding those right words. So it's through asking them questions and finding what are their unique words. How would they actually say that in a conversation? So when I ask that, and then when I get the words and I give them back to them, I find that they go, "Oh, I love that," and then they get really excited about those words, and then it sort of gives them. It's like then that's the guide that they can follow, because they can say, well, yes, this is my thing. That's what I want to say. That's where I'm going with this. And I think that's part of it. And it just gets them out of their head and more into that feeling space, into their heart and soul of what it is that they really want to say.
Yep. And I think you tapped into something beautiful there in terms of once they're reflected back to themselves,
yeah,
they can then go, oh, yes. And so that then gives, it's almost like a new schema, isn't it, for how you can talk about yourself. It's just like, oh, yeah, they're my words. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. So something I always challenge people to do, if they're finding that they're writing the sort of words that everyone else is using. Like one thing I like to mention, particularly I see a lot in the coaching world, is limiting beliefs. I see that everywhere. A lot of people talking about that. So when something like that comes up, it's more than stopping and thinking, well, what do you actually mean by that? How can you expand on that? Pretend that you're talking to someone that's never heard of limiting beliefs. They don't understand what those words mean. So what is that exactly? What is the thing that you're helping them through, and how do you do that? And then it means that then once they start expanding on that, and I've done this for myself as well, you start to expand on it, and then you go, oh, okay, now I've got a whole new way of saying that's different to everybody else.
And that's more aligned to what you actually then do with those limiting beliefs, for example. And I can attest to that. That's exactly what you've done for me as well in helping me see my superpowers. It's just like, oh, so that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So it's also then very much a process of being conscious about not only the language that we use to describe ourselves to others, but getting conscious about the language that we use to describe ourselves to ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So my other thing around that is also anything that you write is actually then to say it out loud. So to read it, that's something that I always do, because that's the perfect test. Because if you've written something and then you read it and you're just going, oh, this just feels a bit yucky as I'm saying this, then you know it's not the right thing, and you need to play around with the words. Which ones don't feel aligned and authentic to you? What can you change?
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. We are getting close to time, and I do try to keep these episodes to 30 minutes or so. I used to keep these episodes to 10 minutes, and people used to say, this is awesome, and somehow they've grown 300%. But, they're juicier conversations, so that's how we go. Given that this is a conversation or a podcast ultimately about speaking with confidence, but we've talked very much today about speaking in a different format, what is your top speaking tip, whether that's verbal or whether it's written speaking? Written speaking. Oh, that's a new word. That's a new phrase. I've just invented it. Written speaking. Actually, what's your top speaking tip,
I like
Melanie?
that, actually, written speaking, because I actually think of the two things as being completely interconnected. They're not two separate things, because whatever you write, and when I write, I like to imagine that I am speaking. And then there's the speaking it out loud to test it. So I feel like they're very connected. And then for me, speaking, I have two speaking tips actually that I use.
Awesome.
So one is around just thinking about what are the main key points or the soul inspired messages that you want to get across. So that's something that I always think about when I'm speaking. So then it's not about being in front of anyone or worrying about getting nervous or anything. It's more thinking, what are the messages that I want to get out there that are going to help whoever I'm talking to, and being focused on that takes away from that that worry. And then the other thing that I use, which actually I use for this too, is around singing. So I sing jazz as well. So I'll often use that to warm up my voice, which is what I did before today. Just sang a few of my songs just to do that. And I've used that same idea when I get up and sing as well. I think, what do I want to share in doing this?
And what I love about that is that I so often talk about, one of the ways that we can calm our nerves is by being of service, focus on the audience rather than on myself. And, you've just phrased that in a different way. It's what is my soul-inspired message? What is it that I want to share today? So that's magic. Melanie, thank you so much. This has just been such a gorgeous conversation. So thank you. I really appreciate it. How gorgeous is Melanie? Like, just talking to her is like being part of a contagious bubble of joy. It's just, I feel like we're on the brink of laughter throughout the entire conversation. There's just this beautiful sense of happiness and lightness. So I so hope that you enjoyed that conversation. I particularly enjoyed Melanie's reflections on the value, the importance, and how to be authentic in your copywriting, which of course is very similar to how you be authentic in your speaking, in showing up in your life, and the importance of not adopting everybody else's tone of voice, not using AI to use everybody else's marketing speak, and instead being yourself, bringing your own, not just stories, but your own flavor, your own quirks, your own you, bringing your you to the copy. I also thoroughly enjoyed hearing Melanie describe that journey of hers from trying to figure out how to pull together all of the parts, how to pull together all of those different skill sets, experiences, qualifications, what can feel really random, into one bundle of juicy benefits for her clients. If you would like to check out Melanie and that juicy bundle of clients, then please visit www.melaniecampbell.com.au. That's melaniecampbell.com.au. The link is in the show notes, and I highly encourage you to go and check her out and see how she can help. Speaking of helping, do you get my newsletter? Do you get my weekly Speaker's Notes newsletter? Well, if you don't, they contain helpful tips. Every week I provide a speaking tip. I share some of my insights and musings about what I'm noticing in the world of speaking, authenticity, or just personal impact and professional impact, of course. And so if you don't currently get that, then my encouragement to you is that you sign up. And when you do, you will also receive my free ebook, How to Stop Rambling. So simply visit the link in my show notes, go to impactfulpresenters.com, that's impactfulpresenters.com, and scroll down that homepage to see the link to sign up for the How to Stop Rambling ebook. I think that's it. And if you're still listening at this point, thank you. I really appreciate it. I know not everybody does listen to the end. Perfectly okay. But it is lovely to still have you here. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Again, let me know where you are as you're listening. I would love to hear from you. And I'd also love to know what else would you like me to talk about on this podcast. So just tag me on Instagram and let me know. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day, and here's to confidence and here's to impact. I'll see you soon.